corn in and oats are gone. And
Okay. Questions for Coach?
but it's been about 2 weeks now. I mean, I get up really early, and so you look out and watch the sun come up. I mean, if you've missed it, man, it's been gorgeous the last chunk of time here. Brings you right back down to where you need to be.
Get up earlier soon.
Yeah, right.
I know, and then we have the daylight savings coming up this weekend, so yeah.
What's the focus going into a series that you know is always has a little extra energy to it? Do you like that? Do you kind of encourage that, or do you want it to maybe bring it down the emotional a little bit going into it?
Somewhere in between. I mean, as we've talked about in the past, the season's long and it's a grinding, and there's ebbs and flows to the whole year. But you know, you look at these weekends, and it's not difficult not to get excited. So you get fired up, and it's been a rivalry for a long, long time. And as a coach, you enjoy being part of it, and so I get excited. I hope the players get excited because you know, even after the weekend's over, so I wake up Sunday morning and we've played these 2 games, and whether we've won or lost, you find more out about your team because we're going to get challenged. Of all the games we played up to this point, the 10 we played, we'll get challenged the most in these 2 games, and so we're still in October, and so it's a good time to get that challenge and prepare for it. But I think from a player standpoint, you look for little things to get excited about. When you see Minnesota's on our schedule and we're playing at home, that's just in itself enough to get excited about.
A little bit removed from the weekend, do you know if you'll have Laney or Adela available this weekend, or what their timelines for return might look like?
They'll be back soon.
How soon?
Now you tell me what soon means, and so, and that's the challenge. I mean, we've talked about it since day one. You know, it's going to be a different type of year just because of the Olympics and the things that we at Wisconsin have to deal with the hockey program on the women's side, and so it's challenging for the players, it's challenging for the coaching staff because we've not been through this space before, and so part of the season is dealing with injuries. You hope you don't have too many over the course of the winter, and some years it works out that way. Other years you run into some hurdles early on or in the middle or late, but it is what it is. So the puzzle changes a little bit as each of those situations is presented to you. And so how do we put the puzzle together? And so I can't put the puzzle together here on Tuesday. I might have a little better idea tomorrow what that puzzle might look like. But, you know, it's the old cliche, one day at a time. So we've got the players that we're going to practice with today, and then we'll wake up tomorrow and we might have a few more. We might not have a few more. But to answer your question, that's a long version. I don't know.
Had a definition for you, if that's just a nebulous kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's soon. It's like, yeah. So what's soon? You know.
But you had mentioned that Edwards and Sims were skating.
They're gonna skate today. Yeah, they're gonna practice today with us, and so we'll get a better feel of what tomorrow looks like and how they're progressing. But it's encouraging.
When you saw Minnesota start the season with that number of goals that they did, it was eye-popping that they were, getting scoring from everywhere. Does that surprise you? I mean, they've got a lot of really good players that they were able to put up some pretty impressive numbers early in the season. How does that change the way you approach, what your structure has to be, how solid you have to be defending and puck possession-wise?
Yeah, I mean, they've added, some pieces through the transfer portal that, provide them with more depth than maybe they had last season. So as they go down their roster, you look at their second and third lines and their fourth group and their defensemen and things like that, and there's just more productivity in those spaces. And so that doesn't change it completely, but it brings your attention to details. And so we talk always about managing the puck in certain areas. That can eliminate some of the things that they do so well, and if you're able to do that, then it quiets that down. And then defensively, with our goaltender and our defensemen, you know, you have to pay attention to details and play well in your own end. The big thing is to stay out of the penalty box. You know, they'll have a good power play. They have the personnel, and you know, can you contain Murphy? I mean, she's the one that leads them. I think she's got 14 goals already. Got off to a great start, but she's a really good player, and you just have to be really focused as you go on the ice and pay attention to those details. And if you're able to do that, and your goaltender's making some saves, you know, then you have an opportunity and a chance.
My age is showing. I don't remember this for sure, but I feel like you guys did a pretty good job with Abby last season and limiting her finishing, if not her chances. Does that become a little tougher when they do have a little bit more depth that you can't necessarily say, well, it's one line, it's one matchup that we have to look at going into it?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's you know, she provides a lot of threats in different areas on the ice. I mean, her speed is outstanding, but you know, when you add players and you add, you know, players to your third group, if that's what you want to call them, that, you know, have played 4 years of college hockey, have a history of scoring goals, and then you put them, you know, in your rotation. I mean, it bodes well for you. So now I don't have to rely on my first line or my second group. I've got my third group. I've got other players. I got a couple defensemen that weren't with us last year that offensively are good. So when you speak about depth, you know, they're much deeper than they were last year, which causes problems for teams that play against them. And, you know, they've been able to do that other than the one hiccup they had against Ohio State. You know, they're a formidable team, and you have to be on your toes, and you have to be paying attention to details. And if you do that well for 60 minutes, then you have a chance to win the game. If you don't, then you're going to bend. You just don't want to break, and you hope your goaltender's making some key saves at key times in the games to keep you in it.
What's impressed you thus far with Mackenzie Jones, who obviously played some big minutes on Sunday?
She's growing. You know, she's getting better. You know, she's working hard in practice, and for any young freshman, you know, coming into the league, you know, that's what you want to see. So, you know, we're 10 games into the season. Where was she, you know, 5 games ago? Where was she at the beginning? And so she's gotten more ice time. You know, her confidence seems to be growing. But the thing that impresses me most is that, you know, she's working at practice, working on some things that'll make her a better player, build her confidence up, and continue to grow.
I know you like teaching moments, and it feels like maybe last week there were a few of them in the D zone. Would you say that there was some opportunities to pick out that, you know, and there's, you know, times when maybe there was a little bit of a couple seconds of panic here and there, and it led to maybe 20 seconds in the D zone where it hadn't before?
Yeah, every game is going to present some things that we've done well, that we haven't done well, and then how can we move forward and try to become better. And so, you know, there's clips in the second period in Sunday's game that you can take away and say, you know, I can verbally tell people on the bench, you know, about puck management and making sure the puck gets chipped by these defensemen into the offensive zone. But if I show them, it probably sinks in a little bit deeper than verbally communicating with them. So, you know, as coaches, as teachers, that's what you're trying to do. And so whether it was a good clip or whether it was a clip that we can improve on, that's all the part of the process. And you might be the individual that's in that video, but if I play the similar position and I'm on a different line, I can look at that and I can also learn from it. So, you know, even though the game was 8-0 Sunday, there's, you know, 5, 6, 7 clips that I can pull out of there that, you know, will end up making us stronger because we went through that experience. And so as frustrated as maybe I got at the end of the second period, it was a good thing. It was a good thing that happened, because you have these different adversities within a game, and can I grow because that happened? And hopefully we can grow from those situations that happened Sunday afternoon.
I asked Mike something similar a few minutes ago, but when LeVon is charged up, when the crowd gets going, when you have a big series in there, do you feel a difference in the building? Because, I mean, you're usually, there's a pretty good crowd there, but when it's an opponent like this, does it feel different down there?
It does. you know, and I'm just coaching, but you know, it feels different if you're playing too. So I mean, you know, when we step on the ice Friday to start the game, there's going to be a special electricity in there, and so something special is going to happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun to be part of. And so, yeah, there's definitely a difference depending on, you know, what game we're playing, what time we're playing, who we're playing against, and I think any building's like that. So when you have a big rival coming in, you know, it's going to be different than a game that we played last weekend. Both good, but they're just different. So when we go up there in late January, it's going to be the same thing. I mean, they're going to be up there, and there'll be a special electricity in the air, and that's where the competitiveness as coaches and as players, you know, should come out, where you don't get a ton of these opportunities, and in a lifetime you only get a certain amount of them, and we're fortunate that we get them, and let's enjoy them and make the most out of them. Because I was sitting there, you watching Toronto, that, you know, the first game of the World Series, and I could feel the whole country of Canada shaking down here when that guy hit the grand slam home run. I mean, it was just, there's noise, and then there's noise, and there was noise there. That was awesome.
Did you watch it all last night?
I watched up until the bottom of the ninth. I got to the bottom of the ninth, and and again, you talk about ebbs and flows of a game. There was a ton of it last night, a ton of it.
7 hours and 32 minutes.
How long was it?
7 hours and 32
Yeah.
minutes.
And the crazy thing is, you know, they're interviewing Otani after the game. He's got to pitch in about 8 hours. I mean, how crazy is that? And so, yeah, it was an exciting game. I mean, it's crazy because all of a sudden, you know, the pitching coaches and people are going out, you know, in whatever the 7th inning. You know, Otani's coming to bat, and they're telling the guy, you know, how to pitch him. Don't do this, probably do that. The first pitch, boom, left center field, it's gone. Oh, yeah, it's like you put it in the wrong spot. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
I wonder if maybe both of you could touch on this, because you see it from different parts of the ice, but when you're playing Minnesota, what feels different than other games?
I think obviously we know we're going to get a good matchup out of them every single time, and they're always going to play. Everyone always plays their best game against us, but especially Minnesota. I think just because the long-standing rivalry that's there, and so you know they're going to come out fast. They're going to come out strong. Obviously, they have a lot of speed, and just a lot of different components of their game that are really dangerous, especially when you look at, you know, their power play, especially their first, you know, definitely top 6. You're looking for them out on the ice. They just have so many different offensive threats that I personally am so aware of. But then also it's just, you know, the energy in the rink, and, you know, it's kind of, you look forward to this weekend all year.
I think kind of going off that, it's just like a huge energy shift, playing different teams like Bemidji or Duluth, and then switching up to Minnesota. The energy in the rink just like flips to a whole nother level. Minnesota is just one of those things that everyone constitutes as a border battle, but you really feel it like inside of you. You feel it from the fans, you feel it from the coaches. It's just kind of the whole week just feels different preparing, and the game feels different. It's aggressive, it's energizing, it's just really fun.
Sorry. Doing my best. Claire, just can you speak to just the last couple of weeks that you've had, and was it anything that you kind of could have anticipated 3 weeks ago?
Definitely not. I feel like over the course of like this year, I've like grown a lot of confidence in my game and kind of just stuck to my role like throughout these 4 years that I've been here. And I think it's just very exciting to kind of achieve things that you might never know you're going to achieve, especially just scoring. It's just so exciting. Yeah, so it was really fun just seeing myself do good and others do good.
Just to expand on that a little bit, you obviously know it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just being in the opportunity, or being in the positions to take advantage of the opportunities. Has that been a challenge to stay up with that, of like, I'm going to get my chance, it's going to be there, I just have to be ready for it?
Yeah, kind of, but also I think I'm just kind of always ready for everything that comes to me. Over these past years, I've been in like all sorts of situations. So I think something I am good at is kind of being ready for whatever comes to me. And I feel like I can play well with really good players. I can play well with kind of anyone on this team, and that is kind of one of my strengths. Is I can play off people well, and it just is exciting to play with different people and to see where I can fit in different places.
Ava, I know you mentioned just the offensive threats that you're very aware of. Is there anything in particular that you do, not differently this week, but just a different mood that changes when you know it's a different level of offensive threat coming your way?
Yeah, I think this year is definitely unique in the fact that I kind of see Murphy a lot, so I kind of have that under my belt, so you kind of know what she's looking for and, where she's really trying to, move the needle forward in her game. But obviously their team is so much more than just Abby Murphy. So they have a couple, new freshmen. Bella Finale I used to play with, so that's kind of a familiar face there. And a lot of their girls are pretty similar to last season, and they have some new Europeans, I think. So I think just being aware of the different styles of play. And obviously I think the speed component is the biggest thing. We play a pretty offensive game, and so just being ready for the odd man opportunities that are coming is definitely something we focus on this week. We always work a lot on rushes, but I think this week especially will be a big week of working on rushes, and then also their power play is obviously pretty infamous. So just getting looks with our penalty kill imitating, or our power play imitating, and then working on our PK and kind of getting those looks in, I think is one of the biggest things for us.
Claire, the play in the D zone, sometimes it's easy to try and want to make a play to get out when the chip is there, and you just need to take it and reset and find a different time. How important is it to recognize those, especially when you get into a team like Minnesota that can just cycle it right back and then keep it in the zone for 45 seconds and tire you out, and then your next couple shifts also suffer?
Yeah, I think like Ava said, we look very offensively in our games, and it's kind of, this game will be super interesting in a way of we need to focus on defense too. Obviously everyone focuses on defense, but I think this game is a testament to who has better defense. And because we all know everyone can score. Minnesota can score well, we can score well, everyone can score, but it's kind of all burns down to defense. So I think we really need to focus on that, and focus on that. We need to make little plays. We need to do the little things correctly. We need to help Ava out. We can't just rely on her to make big saves. We also need to block shots. We need to make the little plays right to chip the puck out, so they can't just keep rolling their lines. So I think it'll be a really fun weekend to show our defensive side too.
Ava, do you manage these couple of weeks any differently? I mean, that with experience and some knowledge learned from last month, I guess?
Yeah, I think definitely an interesting year between all the things happening, and even just just here, I think just learning how to manage the load of everything every year is always the biggest battle. Obviously we kind of do the same thing every year, but between classes and what practices look like, it does take a little bit of adapting every year. And so I think just kind of falling into that routine is something that's kind of happened over the last month, and understanding that my pregame routines and all that might change from week to week, and figuring out what my body needs to be ready, and then kind of working on making sure I'm in a good mental spot coming into the games, I think is really important, because there's a lot of outside noise, especially being older, being hopefully in the running for an Olympic team, and obviously playing on such a high level team who gets a lot of publicity, a lot of eyes on them. I think that just keeping a good head on your shoulders is really the biggest thing for me this year.
Claire, being from Minnesota, what's your perspective on this rivalry, and do you think it's bigger in hockey than it might be in any other sport?
Yeah, I would say so, especially in women's hockey. Obviously, the men played Minnesota this weekend too, and it's a huge game for them. But I think being from Minnesota, everyone expects you to go to Minnesota when you're from Minnesota, so when you go to a different school, it kind of burns bridges. And I think it's going to be a huge weekend, and just the anticipation of these games is super fun, whether it's here or whether it's at Ritter Arena. Like, it is just a crazy atmosphere, and it's just an insanely fun game.
For either of you, season's gone smoothly so far by most accounts, but you guys have dealt with some injuries already. How do you adapt to those? How have you seen some of your teammates step up with some of your top players being out?
Ironically, I think Claire is a really, really good example of exactly how we ideally adapt. I think she's such an adaptable player in that she can take on whatever role is available and whatever she's called upon to do. And I think that's exactly what you want out of a teammate and out of a line mate. She was called upon and she answered in every way she could. And I think that that's exactly what we need because, injuries are part of the game, and you're never going to be able to predict who's going to be in the lineup and who's not, and what the injury timelines are going to look like. And so it really just takes everyone kind of putting their expectations away and just playing the game that they're capable of playing, and being able to adapt to who they're playing with and how their role might shift on the team week to week.
I feel like going off of that, being injured for a whole year, I think it kind of changes your mindset on things, and you can kind of teach other people how to adapt to who's injured and like how to be a better teammate and how to just play your role. And your role may change when people get injured, so I think that's a big thing to know. Like, for instance, Charlotte, she wasn't playing as much these last few weeks, but someone gets injured and she has to play a lot more minutes, and I think she also did very well. But I think it takes a village to help our team survive, and it just really helps when a lot of people know how to deal with all these injuries. And yeah.